What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, what moved it today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid went up 3.85%. Absolutely phenomenal day. 1144 the high, 1078 the low. So you did have at one point it up 4.43% first thing. Lucid did put out news, which I'll go over in a second. We did have somewhat lower volume, so 7.13 million shares being traded. But once I go over some of the institutional transactions, it might make a little bit more sense. But nonetheless, getting right to it, we did have one data point first thing, and that was initial jobless claims. Came in a little bit higher than the forecast. Nothing too significant in my opinion, but most of the market was red. And a lot of that was because of Microsoft and a lot of people just correlating that with just slowing, potential AI bubble. So a lot of that caused more of a domino effect across the board. So it wasn't necessarily the greatest. Plus we do have that looming technical shutdown that might happen. So government shutdown as of January the 31st, and latest results I see is I think it's like 82 or 83% likelihood of that occurring. So again, not necessarily the best. In Lucid's case though, they actually did put out news, and that was this right here. So Lucid Air achieves longest range at NAF Winter Test 2026. So this was absolutely phenomenal. So they did hit a incredible range of 520 kilometers. And it'd be interesting. I know I vaguely brought this up. I feel like it was like a month ago. There was that new tech, donut tech, that Lucid could really incorporate and get about 800 plus kilometers in one charge. So that'd be cool if somehow Lucid was to work with that. Right now, that donut is licensing their tech out. So it's not kind of first come, first serve or anything. So it'd be nice to see if Lucid maybe does test that. But nonetheless, this is pretty good stuff if you ask me. It was posted by Nick on a side note as well, right over here. So Norway on a side note has been one of Lucid's first, kind of aside from Germany, one of Lucid's first real areas that they've been starting to target. And that's just because I think it's like 93% of all the vehicles sold in Norway are EVs. So definitely good stuff for that. In reality, as much as I love this news, and it's kind of a good testament of exactly what Lucid's tech can do, that I don't think is the main reason why Lucid really moved higher, rather Tesla's earnings. So Tesla largely did not flop, but it didn't do that great on their earnings. They did have some pretty good margins though, but they did announce that the Model S and X are going to be winding down production next quarter. So a lot of companies, EVs that would have been competition to the S and X, they all went up. So I think in reality, Lucid went up primarily because of this, but still, prior to that, Lucid had some pretty good momentum. So institutions were probably buying based on the technicals as well as this news. And again, I think that's deserving of a round of applause because I've been covering Lucid for quite some time, and there's very few times that Lucid actually does move up when the market is selling off like crazy. So again, definitely something interesting. These are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So you had one sell for $109,000. Everything else was a buy. So 5.6 million, 1.5, those were just done after hours, but a lot of big money was getting into Lucid. Same goes for the dark pools. We did have a lot of big transactions there. Shorts and hedge funds are typically the culprits that like to use the dark pool. But aside from that, getting right to it, shorts returned 114,000 shares. So nothing too significant, but still, at least it's a move in the right direction, bouncing off of its kind of all-time highs, which was ultimately about 36.7%. But right now, 34.29% of the free float is being shorted. Works to be 44.7 million shares overall are being shorted. DTC being at 5.62 days does signal that shorts are relatively overextended. I know a lot of people really want Lucid to squeeze, and it still could happen, but in all fairness, it's extremely hard for a stock to really move higher when the market's kind of selling off. So I think Lucid being green is definitely good enough for right now. Looking at the options, we had 757,000 in calls, 1.4 in puts. 47% of all the options being done were bearish in nature. No different than yesterday. This is pretty much all this data is kind of copy and paste from yesterday, which is rather odd. So you still have some level of bearishness based on the options, but it could be also at the same time shorts kind of maybe hedging or something along those lines. But from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly between that 1150 to 12. So a lot more upside is anticipated. So tomorrow will be a pretty good day based on at least the bulls. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 11 to 1050 for the most part. So bears are anticipating clearly the broader market to really sell off. Tomorrow, as far as data points, we have PPI, and that is pretty much it. So it's going to be shutdown talk and PPI. Aside from all that fun stuff, with it closing at 1133, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 1031 and 1176 is going to be the next strong support and target. And as I've mentioned over the last couple of videos, the reason why we have some very wide gaps right here is because Lucid has been very volatile. So that's, again, something to keep in mind, but it might be good for options traders given the level of volatility that Lucid's kind of experiencing. Aside from all of that, getting right to the actual chart itself, Lucid really fully breaking off of that 10-day moving average. So today does mark pretty much the second full day of it clearing the 10-day moving average. So usually that does signal a nice trend. So next real target is going to be that blue line right there, the 50-day moving average, and that is a very big deal for Lucid. So that's sitting at 1183. So if Lucid can successfully hit that tomorrow or even possibly break above it, probably not, most likely, given the fear, but if it can at least hit it, get close to it, that might be a good transition going into next week. Stochastic RSI, because of the recent kind of move higher, it is considered overbought. Nothing really wrong with that if Lucid can actually put out good news to justify that, or I guess Lucid's competitors kind of put out some news that will benefit Lucid, then Lucid can kind of continue to move higher. Aside from that, you do see a lot more willing buyers. So as I kind of indicated in the video yesterday, a lot of clearly institutions are pulling their limit orders and wanting to kind of sell. So that's, again, a good thing, giving a good opportunity for Lucid to really move higher. Aside from that, though, there really hasn't been that much in articles really coming out associated to Lucid. Just a lot of, just for instance, PR, Newswire, Reuters, just talking about Lucid's latest update, but nothing new information. Similarly, we didn't get any new analyst ratings, so I'm sure post earnings and then investor day should see a rush of new analyst ratings. So definitely good stuff is coming. Let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you generally doing? And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.